Hello friends, how are you? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have brought a new topic for you. This is 9th standard geographical subject of Maharashtra syllabus, first chapter, that is distributional maps. Is it? What is meant by maps? Why do we use maps? In classroom you must have seen teachers using maps to show you different locations, giving information about different sections of your region. So why do we use maps? Maps to show the location of a place and distribution of variables. Now I am going to show you some maps on the screen. This is the map, political map of Amravati district. In political maps you can see the district headquarters, taluka location, then important places in Amravati district, roadways, highways, railways, etc. So political map is very helpful for us to know these places. Then physiographical map. So here you can see the plain land with the help of green color. Then heighted places like high altitude like mountain, hills with the gray and brown colors. Then blue colors is a low-lying area where you'll find the water bodies, rivers, lakes, dams, etc. Same way, there is a map of Maharashtra, political map of Maharashtra. So same thing, the capital, district headquarters, boundaries of the districts, etc. Then physiographical map. In this map again you can see the green color, brown color, blue color. What does it indicate? You can understand. Then here is the map of India, political map of India. Again, states, the capital of nation, capital of the state, important places. And this is physiographical map of India. Again you can see different colors indicating the altitude of the Indian land, important water bodies, etc. Now why I showed you these maps, maps are important resources to get the information. Now my next question is, can we use the maps to show distribution of population, distribution of rainfall, climate, altitude, cattle? So the answer is yes. And how we are going to show them? By using three types of maps. Now I have to clarify one word, that is variable. What is meant by variables? So variable means population, cattle, altitude, temperature, rainfall of a particular region. And to show these variables, the distribution of these variables of a particular region on map, we have three types of maps, three types of distributional maps. So what is the first type? That is a dot method. Second type, choropleth method. Third type, isopleth method. Now how are we going to use these maps to show the distribution of different variables of a particular region? First thing we require is the data. Have you collected data? Have you got the data, accurate data? Then with the help of this data, no doubt, you can show the distribution of variables of a particular region. So how we can show this distribution? Let's begin with the first type of distributional map, that is dot method. Now to use dot method to show the distribution of variable, first thing we will require, that is a statistical data. Now how we are going to collect this statistical data? There is one way, that is called counting. You have to visit that region, you have to count, for example, population, cattle. So counting is the process through which we can collect the statistical data for dot method. Now suppose you have collected the statistical data. Now what to do? Now you have to decide a particular value to the dot. Now how to give a value to the dot? Very simple thing. You have collected the statistical data. Now in that data find out two things. What are the two things? The lowest value and highest value. Now you have both the values, lowest and highest. Now you can assign a particular value to the dot accordingly, right? Now we need to consider, while assigning this value, we need to consider three things. What are the three things we need to consider in the dot method? Number one is size of dot. So what size you are going to determine? Now you can have 2-3 sizes of dots. The minimum smaller dot is equal to maybe 10,000, the medium dot for 50,000, and the bigger dot for 1 lakh. Now you can have different values to the dots for rural area, for the important city, and for the metro city, right? So size of the dot to be decided. This is very important. Now second thing we have to consider is the density of that region. How is it? Is it very high density? Then you have to decide the high value for the dot. Is it very sparse density? Then you have to decide a small size of the dot, right? Now third thing we have to consider is the scale of map. What scale you have taken? Is it 1 kilometer is equal to 100 kilometer? Is it 1 kilometer is equal to 10 kilometer? Then accordingly we have to decide the dot value, the size of the value, size of the dot, etc. So these three things we have to consider by using dot method. First was size of the dot, second was density of the variable, and third was scale of the map. Now number of dots for sub-administrative unit are to be decided. What is meant by sub-administrative unit? Sub-administrative unit means, suppose you are using a district map, no? So in district map, the main administrative unit is district place. Now sub-administrative unit is taluka place. Now how many dots you are going to decide for that sub-administrative unit? Suppose one dot is equal to 10,000, and accordingly for that population of sub-administrative unit you are going to allot number of dots. Now when you use dot method, we should have precaution of two things. Two things we have to consider very carefully. Number one, the size of the dot should be uniform, it should be same. Suppose you are using dots for sub-administrative unit, then all dots should be of same size. There should not be change in the shape, right? Now second thing is, while putting these dots, you have to consider three things. Number one is physiography. Physiography means mountain, hills, plains, etc. So plains, it's okay, you can keep the dot there, population is there. But where the mountains are there, hills are there, then you can't keep the dots there. Second thing is water bodies like rivers, lakes, dams. There also we can't keep the dots. Then transport systems like railways, roadways. On that place also we can't keep the dots. So we have to consider these three things also while using the dot method, right? Now number three is, for rural population we are going to use the dots, and for the urban population we can use circles or big dots. So we are going to study one map of Amravati. So we can see how they have used 5 types of dots, the smallest one and the highest one. As we have the data of lowest and highest value, you can decide the value of the small dot and the value of the big dot. Now can you see the map of Amravati district? Now in this map there is a distribution of population. First thing is, we have to read this map very carefully. Directions are provided. See the north direction. Now map scale is provided. It seems that 2 centimeter is equal to 10 kilometer, isn't it? Now there are 5 dots. The smallest dot for rural area is assigned is 10,000 population. Then 4 dots are assigned for main cities. So in urban area, the first dot, smallest dot is for 50,000, second dot is for 1 lakh, third dot is for 2 lakhs, and fourth dot is for 5 lakhs. Now see in this map where we find these all 5 types of dots. So these 4 dots are the urban area only at 4 places, and almost all places the small dots are assigned. So that is rural area. Now we'll see the questions. So what is the first question? What is the population of the Amravati town? Now you can see clearly the big dot, big circle is there, and that is 5 lakh. Answer is 5 lakh. Now second question is, name the place having population of 1 lakh on the map. So is there a place, city place, which has a population of 1 lakh? Yes, that is Anjangaon Surji, right? Now third question, which part of the map shows sparse distribution of population? Sparse means very less population, right? So you can see to the north there is one taluka, its name is not mentioned here, but I know the name, it is Chikhaldara. Chikhaldara, you must have heard, it's a hill station, right? Hill station means it's a mountainous place. So naturally, because of this mountainous place, the population is very less, very sparse. So we got answer for all these 3 questions. So like this, there are many maps provided in the textbook. So few maps I am going to give you for self-study, right? Now first method we have seen dot method. I will revise few points. In dot method, first thing we require is a statistical data collected through counting. Then we have to use the dots. Then we have to decide a value for the dot. How we are going to decide the value for dot? With the help of lowest and highest values. Then we have to determine the number of dots. Then we have to keep some precautions. All dots should be of same size. Then we have to consider physiography, waters, transport system while putting the dots. Then we have to give small dots for rural population and big circles for urban population, right? Now second important method is choropleth method, right? So in choropleth methods, the most important thing is the distribution of variable is shown with the help of shades or tints of same color, right? Shades or tints of same color, or you can use dark white, black and white patterns in choropleth method. So there are 2 ways. You can use the shades of color or dark and white patterns. Now in dot method we collected the data through counting. How we are going to collect data in choropleth method? There are 2 processes. They are measurement and surveying. So surveying is like counting only. That's why in choropleth method also we can use population variable to show the distribution of a particular region. Now next thing is, in dot method we had main administrative unit, that is district place, and sub administrative unit, that is taluka place. In choropleth method you can't assign such 2 types of administrative units. You have to give value to only one administrative unit, that is a taluka, right? Because we are going to give only one color to taluka, so we have to use only one value to sub administrative unit. Now how to decide this value? Now same way, we should have smallest and largest values of data, right? Once you got these smallest and largest values, then you are going to divide it into 5 to 7 classes, right? 5 to 7 classes, and for each class we are going to assign a tint of same color or black and white patterns. Now suppose there are 7 classes. Now we will take only one color, that is pink color, right? So the highest value will be the dark color and the lowest value will be the faintest color, isn't it? So accordingly we will change the tints of color. So as I told you, dark color means more value and fainter color means less value. So one map is provided to study for the choropleth method. I told you, you will do it as a self-study. Observe that map. Some questions are provided. Try to answer on your own. I will repeat few things for choropleth method. In choropleth method, 2-3 things are important. One is to show the distribution of data, we use shades or tints of same color, right? Then, if not color, shades of color, we can use black and white patterns. There are 2 processes through which we can collect the data for choropleth method. These 2 processes are measurement and surveying. There is only one value to sub administrative unit, and to decide this value we should have smallest and largest values of data collected, right? And we are going to divide this data into how many classes? 5 to 7 classes, and for each class we are going to assign a tint of color. So that's it. It was about choropleth method. Now third method of distributional map is isopleth method. So which is a very important thing in isopleth method, which is different from dot method and choropleth method. In dot method we use dots, in choropleth method we use tints of colors, in isopleth method we use isolines, or you can use the simple word lines, right? But in dot method and choropleth method, the distribution of variables, which variables we use only? Population, cattle, etc. These variables cannot be used in isopleth. In isopleth, the variables used are altitude, temperature, rainfall, right? Altitude मतलब height, land का जो height होता है, accordingly ज़्यादा या plain है या कम है, accordingly we can do it. For isopleth method, the most important thing is we require accurate data. Assumption cannot be there, right? Accurate data is required. Then next place is difference between variable of two places change at uniform rate. There is one assumption in isopleth. I told you no assumption. Data is required accurate. But when we join two locations, two places or 5-10 places with the line, then we have to assume that the variable of two places changes at a uniform rate. Okay. Now in dot method we had two sub-administrative units. In choropleth method we have only one sub-administrative method. In isopleth method we have no sub-administrative units. Right? This is the difference. Here the data belongs to places. We find out, suppose rainfall is there, so we collect the rainfall of particular place. What is the rainfall of that place, second place, third place, fourth place, fifth, sixth, seventh, like this. So we collect the data of places. That's why that data is called point related data, and these points are connected with the help of line, right? And this is called as isopleth map. Now when we prepare isopleth method maps, we follow two steps. What is the first step? The first step is class intervals are decided on the basis of highest and lowest values, and we come to know difference between lines. So same way in dot method also we had highest and lowest values. So in isopleth also we require highest and lowest values for class intervals and to find out the difference between two lines. Second thing we have to follow in isopleth maps is lines drawn for decided intervals and location with the same values are joined. So we draw lines, right, for the intervals, and with this help of lines what we connect the places of same value, we join them, right? So after preparing these isopleth maps, two conclusions we bring out. What are the two conclusions? Number one is closer the lines, change in variable is more. Steep means more. जितनी ज़्यादा लाइन्स क्लोज होती है उतना ज़्यादा डिफरेंस होता है टू लाइन्स में, राइट? एंड मोर द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन टू लाइन्स द डिफरेंस इज लेस, राइट? So you can see the map provided here of choropleth map. The closer lines are there, immediately the difference is changing, and the more difference is there, the difference is very less, it is changing very slowly, right? Now after studying isopleth maps, very important thing, we get the idea of natural trends. Natural trends means how much is the rainfall of this area, so we get that idea, isn't it? So more rain means you can guess it's a forest area, mountain area, there are some natural causes, so we get some ideas also about that, right? So I hope you understood all three types of maps. Number one was dot method, number two was choropleth method, and third was isopleth method. So what are the major differences between them, we try to bring out. Now the last point given in this chapter is about field visit. I will take it in very short, right, because questions are not asked in exercise, but this topic is important to understand, right? What is meant by field visit? So field visit is very important method of study in geography. This always remember, field visit is a method of study in geography, right? And what help we get through field visits? Field visits helps us to understand the correlation between human and environment, right? Now, while preparing for field visits, what we have to decide? We decide, location, its distance, which route to be followed, which vehicles for travel will take, and how many days or how much time it will take for this field visit. This we have to plan out, right, with the help of teachers. Now, second important point regarding field visit is, so which elements we are going to study at that place. So we have to decide this beforehand. Which elements we are going to decide? Is it physical landform, river banks, dams, coastal areas, tourism sites, offices or museums, villages, forest areas, etc. So that we have to decide. And suppose it's a dam area, then remember we have to take prior permission. We have to write a letter to that authority of that place. Without that permission, you can't go to have a field visit at such places, right? Now, while going to field visit, which things we have to carry with us? The important things: notebook, specimen questionnaire, pen, pencil, scale, tape, compass, a bag for collecting samples, maps, camera, etc. Now, suppose you have decided, you have finalized, now you have reached to that place. So we have to take some precautions during the field visit. What are the important precautions? We have to take care of ourselves as well as our colleagues. Now, second thing is we have to follow the instruction of our teachers. Then third is we should not go to the unknown places and remote places without the permission of teacher, right? Then fourth important thing is we should not harm the environment. We should not litter that area, isn't it? Then we should carry the first aid box with us. Suppose somebody get injured or we ourselves get injured, then that first aid box is very important. And the last point in field visit is, once you finish it, once you reach to your place, then you have to write a report. Now you have gathered a lot of information. You have samples, you have photographs, you have talked with the local people, you have filled up your questionnaire. Now you have a lot of material with you, right? Now you should write the report with the appropriate format. So there are some points given in textbook. We have to follow this format. First of all, there is an introduction. In introduction, so you have to talk about the place you visited. Second is location map and route map. Third is physiography. I told you the meaning of physiography. Then climate, was it hot, humid, cold, dry, etc. Then population, how was the population, dense, sparse, etc. Then environmental problems and measures. Land utilization, so how is the land used there? Is it for agriculture, industrial, is it lying without any crops? And on this study you have to bring out some conclusions. In conclusions, so conclusions can be why people are dependent on a particular profession, occupation, then what are the problems they are facing, what type of measurements we can take place, and what are the remaining areas which can be studied later on in the next field visits. So that can be written in conclusions. So this was a very good lesson as far as distribution maps is considered. This will be very helpful for us in many things. I hope you will like this video. So don't forget to subscribe for my channel, like it, share it, and press the bell icon. Thank you very much. Stay tuned.